What's up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another installment of Ask PJ Braun here at Blackstone Labs headquarters.
Don't you love how Josh's radio voice has evolved into like the sexy like Barry White voice now?
I only do it for the intro.
You gotta watch last week's at the beginning of the episode last week. Just watch him in the first minute. That's all I'm gonna say. I fucking laughed so hard.
Only you and I know. Nobody else knows. So do we want to? We have a lot of questions, so we're probably going to skip out on the bantering for now because we banter quite a bit in between them unintentionally.
I apologize for not doing the podcast last week, guys. There was just a lot going on with my BPJ finale, and I did attempt to do it, and it just wasn't going to happen. And there were so many things going on. We had numerous guests. It just realistically, I couldn't fit it into my schedule. This is coming off. I love doing the podcast, so it wasn't because I didn't want to do it. It was just, trying to run the show, do the pseudo show, and everything else. There was a day where it was a do or die day. I just want to tell this story. It was a do or die day that had to go down the way that it needed to go down for it to work, and it didn't go down. Of all reasons, why? Because I couldn't shave my pubes the night before.
Nothing worse than that situation.
It's a terrible situation to be in. So I'll also admit that, I've been a little bit lazy this year as far as pube shavage. But when you shave your body for a competition, you shave everything. Pubes, everything, right? So I don't shave anymore. I'm old. You get to a stage in your life where you're like, I don't care. Look, you don't care. You got hair on your arms.
I've never shaved my arms.
Yeah, you're like, fuck it, right?
I've shaved my arms one time.
When you're bodybuilding, some of my bodybuilder friends, they shave like multiple times a week. I don't get that.
So no, what I don't understand is the fact that whether they're competing or not, Sammy shaves his legs.
Yep.
Like what?
All the time.
Why would you put
I'm not that hairy anyway, so I'm lucky, but I haven't shaved in a long time. So I was like, man, I gotta shave my body before the girl comes to tan me. Now here's the deal. Anyone that's done a show knows this. You can't just take a razor to long hair, so you just can't. You gotta take clippers, and you gotta clip everything first, or if you have an electric shaver, you can do that, but you gotta do a pre-shave grooming, and if you get yourself a cheap set of, barbershop clippers, everybody's got those ball fro clippers that they have, and that, you gotta go over everything. So I've had one forever. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure Gabe Moan has it now. Thanks a lot, Gabe.
Man.
Because he needed to do his body grooming before the show when he stayed at my house. So I was gonna shave my body at 11 o'clock that night and then do everything the next morning. Well, I went to do it, I had nothing. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I had to go to Sally's Beauty Supply in the morning. And they don't open. Sally's. They actually open pretty early. They open at 9 o'clock, I believe, right? But I had all this stuff going on, and it was all like literally hour by hour by hour laid out. And so in that hour, that time that I went from my house to Sally's to get the thing, to shave my body, to then do the actual razor to shave my body, that hour that I lost, it was about an hour, was the hour that I had only left for the podcast. And I was just going the whole day. And then Protein sprayed me that night. So I apologize, guys.
Things just kept getting pushed back, and like you said about cutting the long hairs, I just gotta tell you, I'm actually Italian and French, possibly the two hairiest things you could be. So I don't even have a pair of clippers that can adequately shave long hairs like that. I actually have to just go at it with garden shears and a weed whacker to get it done to razor level.
They had given me this Nair stuff.
Oh, that stuff smells so bad.
It just seemed like such a bad idea.
Oh,
it was like if your hair is more than like a quarter of an inch long. I think
that stuff lowers your testosterone though.
It may.
I think it does. Because it smells like it would.
Well, we're back at it.
So we're just gonna jump into this first question, and this one comes from Robert Yeager. And he says right in this massive first paragraph that he can just skip the whole first paragraph and just go on to the question. And the question starts out with enough dick riding onto the actual question.
Thank you for the dick riding, by the way.
And plenty of. And over the last couple years, and especially after the birth of his grandson, my relationship with my father has improved greatly. I kind of like the grumpy old guy to stick around for a while. I believe that lifting is one of the biggest ways to improve health there is. Strengthening your body just makes everything feel better. If I can motivate him to come lift with me, what are some good lifts for a novice in his mid-50s to start getting him at a good base? Saw the blog on 5x5s and thought that might be a good place to start. Also, poor hormones probably a bit too hardcore for him, and so any subs you would recommend to just help him feel better? I was thinking Apex juiced up and orthobolic to get those phytonutrients and natural test flowing and take care of his joints. Anything that you would add? Oh yeah, he's about 5'7", probably 220 and somewhere around 30% body fat. Now for myself. You mentioned in a previous podcast a big difference in training for size versus training for strength, and that high volume and attacking the muscles from multiple angles was the way to go for size. Personally, I don't care about being the biggest guy in the gym. I just want to be lean, strong, and feel good. I'm 5'10", and went from about 240 pounds of roly-poly squishiness down to 145 pounds through diet and loads of cardio. As stated in the opening paragraph, I went into dad mode and climbed back up to 180 pounds. I'm not trying to get that healthy medium of strength and conditioning. So what are the best lifts for building strength and power? If high volume is relatively low weight relatively low weight is good for size, does that mean the opposite is true and low rep high weight is best for power and strength? Lastly, settle an argument. What is better, Terminator 1 or Terminator 2? Thanks for your time and what you do. Peace out, bye.
The Terminators are so different. I mean, they're so different. The story in Terminator 1, I suppose, is better. But Terminator 2, they stepped up the graphics and shit so much more.
Nobody remembers T1, I'm just going to say.
It's just, that was when Arnold was really big, too.
T2 is...
T2, they moved it up. The technology advanced.
All about T2.
Have you seen this boy? Look, how old was the grandpa?
55.
So he is a perfect candidate for Apex Male. In fact, my grandpa takes Apex Male. And you know, anything basic that a 25-year-old man, a 55-year-old man can do as well. I don't think that he needs to be messing with any kind of aggressive stimulants, and I don't think that he needs to be messing with any sort of aggressive pro-hormones. But all your basic stuff, things like orthobolic, things like juiced up, and as well as Apex Male, he can just stay on the Apex Male. If he boosts his testosterone naturally, he's going to feel better, he's going to be stronger, he's going to have more energy, he's going to be more mentally acute, his sex drive is going to be better, like he's just going to be, you know, all around better. And then as far as how he trains, he should train the same way, you know, as a 25-year-old with the same goals. You just have to understand that hormonally it's going to be harder because he's not going to be all testosteroned up like a young man. Now, for the younger guy, for the son, if you're asking specifically how to train for power and strength, well, that type of training is much different. You can get very powerful and you can get very strong without even gaining weight. I mean, most of the good Olympic lifters, they stay in their same weight class, and some of them will compete in 3 Olympic Games. That's 12 years, you know. So they get better and they get stronger and more explosive and powerful, but they don't gain any body weight. So they're training themselves to be strong. They're training themselves to be explosive. Powerlifters often stay in the same weight class forever too. Now, some young powerlifters just keep getting bigger and stronger and growing, and they grow into bigger weight classes. And part of that is, you know, powerlifting is so much different than Olympic lifting. So you are still stimulating muscle growth quite a bit with powerlifting. My advice, based on what he says he wants to do, is I would base my workouts around the 3 powerlifting exercises: the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. And on your squat day, you do some other like ancillary leg exercises. And on your bench press day, you do some other ancillary chest exercises, maybe some military presses as well. And on your deadlift day, you do some other back exercises. And then maybe you could have a 4th day where you just do some touch-up stuff, you know, some isolation work, since you're going to be missing out on a lot of that stuff. That, with the proper diet, should give you the goals, you know, should help you achieve the goals that you want.
All right, next one comes from Jason. He says, realizing everybody is different, I'm 185 pounds, men's physique. What is your best recommendation for using the new Evaporate water intake and sodium intake a week out from the show?
Okay, so the way I did it, I'm actually not going to do it that way again. So Evaporate is way stronger than I realized. I knew it was going to be good. The formula is great, but it's
scround.
Yeah,
we know how scround it would go.
I underestimated it, I suppose. And I paid the price. I actually didn't really look how I wanted to look until a couple days later. And that happens. That's why I was glad to do it first, so I could explain to you guys how powerful it is. Now, the way that I would do the Evaporate, I suffered down on very low days. My final check-in was Friday, so I kept suffering down on very low days until Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I had 2 meals that instead of having my fish and greens like I was eating, I had, I believe it was either 6 or 7 ounces of lean red meat. So I added in a little bit of fats just at those 2 meals. It's not very much, probably 10 grams of fat at each meal. And just to get myself a little bit more satiated, and I felt like I was as empty as I needed to be at that point. So I did my carb up on Thursday. And I had a fairly aggressive carb up. I was eating a minimum of 50, but probably a good 75 grams of carbs at all my meals. And I think I had 7 meals. And I took my glycolog with every meal, so I was maximizing the glycogen loading for sure. But I started the Evaporate a couple days early. And I was so flat and empty by the time I started carbing up that I couldn't bring myself back. And I was peeing so much. I couldn't believe how much I was peeing. The first day that I took the Evaporate, if you guys watched the vlogs, in the time that Deanna massaged me, which is slightly over an hour, I lost 2 full pounds just peeing. I took 3 pisses that were like 20-minute pisses. She's like, "You're still peeing?" I'm like, I cannot believe how strong this shit is. And so because of that, guys, I was very flat. The morning of, I ate like what did I eat? I ate a friggin' 2 steak and cheeses just to load myself up with salt and fat and calories. And I was still flat. Then I went this weekend and I ate Cinnaholics, things like that. And it wasn't until like Sunday that I was actually even as heavy as I was before I started the Evaporate, which is nuts. So what I would have done differently is this. I would have started the Evaporate the same way. However, rather than starting it on low days, I would have started my carb load in the beginning. So I would have started aggressive, let's say 4 days out. Then 3 days out, I'd assess where I was after that first day. 2 days out, I'd do the same thing. But it's safe to say, once you've got 2 good days of carbing in you, you're not going to need the carbs anymore. So I'd pull it way down for day 3. And for the day before, I'd probably be really low and just let the Evaporate get the rest of the water out. Now, for me, not having any carbs or fats in my system, I think that my body was just flushing out so much. And that since I didn't stop the Evaporate, I just didn't give myself a chance to glycogen load or really like pull the water in. So guys, when you mess with something like that, this is very important. Do a test run a couple weeks before, you know, your big event, or if you can do a photo shoot. I mean, it's not as important if you're doing a photo shoot. You know, you're gonna lose weight, you're gonna be smaller, tighter regardless. But if you need to be a certain way on one certain day, don't go do or die and just roll the dice. You know, give yourself a couple weeks, even a week, and do a trial run to see how your body responds. Because had I done a trial run with this, I would have known how freaking strong it was, and I wouldn't have flattened out so bad.
All right. The next one comes from Paul. He says, "What's up, PJ?" 1 second.
I should also state that I'm not really the most watery guy anyway, and I do very bad with things like Diazide. I've had a little bit more success with Aldactone, which is mild. I'm very against Lasix. I know a lot of guys will mess with strong loop diuretics like Lasix, but I actually, towards the end of my career, just stuck to herbal stuff because I was so sensitive, and I just couldn't believe that something herbal would be that strong to me.
All right. And the next one comes from Paul. He says, "What's up, PJ? How would you go about eating to train a big body part like back or legs? Would you go high on carbs the day before or that day? I usually wake up around 6 a.m. and train around 3 p.m. if that helps. Thanks."
Yeah, I like to go the day before personally. I don't like having big amounts of food in my belly when I'm doing legs. I can get away with it for most other body parts. Like something like arms is easy, but like when I'm doing legs, if I've got a ton of food in my stomach, it makes me nauseous and I feel slow and sluggish. So I usually do my legs on Mondays. I like to eat a lot on Sunday, just rest and eat, load myself up with calories, and then just blast it all out the next day when I'm eating normal. I also like to be on an empty stomach for like at least 90 minutes before I train my legs. And now, Most days I train fasted, so.
Next one comes from Miller Keith 94. He said, "Hey guys, I wanted to touch base about Hype Extreme. Mix is better, pump is better, and tastes better than Redcon Big Noise. I also noticed I need much less hype than I've been taking of now what I'll call it less than the less than mediocre brand."
Oh, this is the guy that was taking that product and we said we'd send him the hype for free? Is that who this is? Must be.
Must be.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the gesture, PJ. I'll be picking up hype frequently.
Woo, I told you.
Wow. Now on to the questions and thoughts. Running a 16-week cycle, as briefly mentioned before, Test C 500 milligrams a week for all 16, and Deca 125 milligrams a week for 14 weeks. D-ball for the first 6 weeks, 30 milligrams every day. Tren 5 to 9. Tren a week 5 to 9. 75 to 100 milligrams every other day. Anavar 25 to 30 milligrams from week 9 to 13. And then PCT and Nova as needed throughout. General ideas or thoughts or tips for my cycle. I keep up with Blackstone promoters as much as possible. I was just curious if you're still in touch with Seth or Tristan these days. Miss those old YouTube videos. When is the best time to visit the headquarters? I'm from New Mexico, but head out to Pensacola typically every 4 or 5 months. A trip to Boca is something I've been wanting to do, and a commute I'd be glad to partake in. Lastly, is it just me, or is the 212-pound division, Olympian Arnold, more entertaining than the heavies these days? Thank you for your time, Casey.
All right, we got a lot in there, Casey. Let's start up at the top. The cycle. I like everything about it, with exception to your Anavar dosage. 25 milligrams is extremely mild. Like, I know a lot of girls that compete in women's physique that do 20 milligrams a day.
A girl dose.
And you don't want to do. You're not a girl, are you? I personally don't think that anyone that's a male should do less than 30 milligrams of Anavar. And if you really want to get good results where you're like, wow, I like Anavar, you need to do 50 milligrams a day. 50 milligrams I find is like the sweet spot where you can get bigger and leaner while you're doing it, and you'll feel really good. If it's like a financial thing, or even if you're just like, wanting to be conservative, go 30 milligrams on the bottom. The rest of your cycle looks great. Did you not mention Arimidex?
Just PCT and Nova is needed.
If you're going to use Nolvadex, I would say that you should, no matter what, for the whole duration, even if it's just 10 milligrams, I'll run 10 milligrams, probably 20 milligrams a day would be better. Just to be safe. It's just not worth, like, all of a sudden having, these estrogenic side effects where you're like, oh no, now I have to combat this. That's just my opinion there. Everything else looks good. What was the next question? Was on
wondering if you're still in touch with Seth or Tristan these days.
Seth I don't talk to very often, but I'll always love Seth. He's an awesome guy. And Tristan sucks. Not Beard Tristan. He's cool. Esco Tristan is worthless.
White, good old American bearded Tristan.
Good old bearded Tristan. I broke down why Tristan should not shave his beard, and I feel like I nailed it.
Yeah?
Yep.
Not even for the show?
No. He wins no matter what, and I'll explain why. This is great, by the way. I strategized this. I really thought this out, because I was like, it's such a shame for somebody to fucking grow a beard for 2 years and then have to shave it and then not even know the outcome of like what that beard shaving is going to even do. Because what if you shave your beard and you get last place? So then you suck and you don't have your beard anymore that you love.
Yeah.
So this is the way that I view it. He had said from the start, his main priority was being the best he could be at Junior USA's. And his coach wanted him to compete a little earlier for like some test runs. I was like, fair enough. I think you should try to be the best that you can be no matter what. And he was like, well, Junior USA is what it's all about. And he was like, I guess I'll just shave my beard for Junior USA's. And I was like, I put a lot of thought into this, and this is the way that I see it. You go into the Grand Prix as good as you can possibly be. Like, you pull out all the stops, you suffer, you torture yourself, and you go in there with a fucking beard. And if you go in there looking nasty with a beard, one of two things are going to happen. You could win because you deserve to win. And you're the guy with the beard now that won. He's good, that guy with the beard. Or two, if it really is true what they say about beards,
dead last.
You're going to get dead last, and you're going to get so many fans that are going to be like, that guy got screwed.
That's fucking bullshit.
They screwed him over his beard. And then all the beard people are going to come out, and it's going to start like a pro-beard.
A beard war.
Because a beard represents individual freedom.
Does it?
Yes, it does. A person should be allowed to do
idea.
whatever they want to do, because it is a bodybuilding show, And the show is based on the body. So if a person wants to tattoo their face, hey, that's weird. But guess what? You're not going to do good if you have tattoos on your face. Now, if you have really, really, really long hair as a man down to your butt, probably not going to place well just because you got that crazy long hair. Should it matter? I don't know. It's a bodybuilding show. If you have a beard that's like ZZ Top, maybe it'll throw you off because it'll throw off your symmetry hiding your stuff. But in this day and age, when so many guys have beards, like 50% of the men out there have beards. So you're going to say that 50% of those guys are not okay with their own individuality to compete in bodybuilding shows, and that they have to conform to what this standard is.
I'm not going to conform for you.
I don't think that you should. So here's the way I look at it. He goes in. Now it's up to him. It's do or die that he comes in the best shape that he could possibly be.
Nasty crispy.
He has to be crispy. So if you go in crispy and you deserve to win, I say you win. But if you don't deserve to win, that's on you. However, this is the big thing. You go in and
you deserve to win with a beard,
and then you don't.
If you don't, you still won.
You become a fucking legend, and it's probably better.
You're still the favorited underdog.
Yes, and you make beards huge in bodybuilding.
And then even if the guy that wins doesn't have, if he doesn't have a beard, the guy that wins and he looks even better than you, everybody's gonna be like, no, the guy with the beard should have won.
It's such great strategy. It's beautiful marketing. It's good strategy. And I told him he was very, very like dieted down that day, and he was like, "You're right."
It's funny. I was thinking about shaving my beard today. I was just like, you know, it's getting hot out. And like, I don't care. I'll shave it. It'll grow again. Like,
all right, you really want to shave it though?
I kind of do. It's like it's getting hot.
Well, shave it. See. But what if you like really, really loved your beard?
I do.
Also, what if? See, I don't. The thing is, I don't really even remember your face without a beard anymore, and I don't really remember his face without a beard. But then he showed me a picture of himself, and I was like, "Oh, don't shave your beard."
That's what I'm saying.
Do not shave your beard.
All right, next one is: what is the best time to visit the headquarters?
You know what? As long as you do it in advance, you're going to email Salvi at blackstonelabs.com, and she will set that up.
And lastly, is it just me, or is it the 212 division Olympia and Arnold more entertaining than the heavy?
I would say yes. I have more interest in the open division, but I think that everybody knows who's going to win the Olympia every year. I do think there's a lot of action in the 212 division. A lot of new guys too doing really good in the 212 division.
Let's see.
I feel like he's got that on really slow.
What happened? All right, this next one comes from Mike. He says, PJ, I do not believe I have seen this question in the past. I'm a 50-year-old male, 5'6", 235 pounds, 20% body fat. Here's a list of supplements and meds that I'm taking. Test Sip, 200 milligrams a week. Test No Ester, Chokies under 50 milligrams daily. 25 milligrams Cytomel, 15.15 Synthroid. 2, I use Serostim, Ubiquinol, krill oil, vitamin C, gear support, orthobolic, eradicate, and thyroid support. I also use Hype pre-workout and Resurgence Intra. I have recently, in the past 30 days, added Glycolog, Recomp, Trojan Horse, and Paraburn. Like you, I am not sure what my goals are. I want to be big, I want to be lean, and I want to be healthy. My questions are: 1, is this overkill? 2, my diet has not been great at all recently, and I have not lost any pounds, but do look leaner. I wasn't using the products. If I wasn't using the Recomp, Paraburn, and Trojan Horse, would I be fatter and softer with a subpar diet, or am I wasting these products by not having a good diet with them? Thank you for everything you do. Respectfully, Mike.
I think that you would absolutely look worse if you weren't doing all that.
I mean, it only makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
If you're saying your diet is not on point,
but you look pretty good.
But you look pretty good, and you're taking this stuff.
Welcome to
Blackstone Labs. But you want to know if it's overkill, and if you would look not as good, maybe try doing exactly what you're doing without taking it and see what happens.
I might actually put that entire statement on our next shirt.
That's going to be a long shirt.
It's putting it out there. Hey, I haven't been eating that good. Haven't been training as much, but I'm taking all these products, and I feel like I could look better.
Feeling like
www.blackstonelabs.com.
All right, next one comes from Claudia. She says, hey, PJ and Josh, it's Claudia, your favorite Spaniard. I was listening to episode 18 and laughed so much about the sock on your dick when you guys get your tan for a show. Here in Europe, they usually get tan naked, so they don't care about that.
Oh, my Lord.
Especially when you're so tired with no water, and that's the last thing to think about. Even at the Arnold Classic Europe, where people from the expo can see the backstage because it's only separated by a rope.
Oh, my God.
Also, we usually self-tan a lot with products like Pro Tan and Top Tan instead of getting the spray tan. In my own experience, it's way better and looks phenomenal. Just wanted to share with you and the other Americans who are listening, if you compete in Europe and you come with a pink sock on your dick, people will laugh at you more than if you were naked. Be prepared. Anyways, here's my question. I'm an entrepreneur and fitness coach, and I'm busier than ever. Since you're a busy man, what do you recommend to not be thinking or talking about when you want to spend quality time with your loved ones? Thank you so much. Love hearing the podcast. I'm a big fan. Hugs from Spain.
Thank you for the hugs and for making fun of my cock sock.
Cock sock stories.
So, I this is just me being truthful, because I can't lie to you guys. I pretty much only talk about work, and it's not a good thing. It's definitely not healthy.
But it's not just you. Working at Blackstone Labs kind of encompasses everything you do in your life.
Yeah.
There's really like very few, for me, for you, I know for a couple other people, there's very few moments here that don't completely swallow every second of who your personal...
It really is. It really is. And we're all in this together, and like, we always talk about the whole family atmosphere and stuff. So we're all like really intertwined in each other's lives too. And I mean, I would say like, what do I do that is non-work related is I go to the movies like pretty frequently, and that you'll get my mind off of work for the part of the movie that I'm not texting.
Yeah.
Sorry, will you turn yourself on? When you really get me, I'll tell you right now. When you really get me out of the work zone,
Cinnaholic.
Cinnaholic also,
which we're going to today.
Cinnaholic also, but even more so than Cinnaholic.
We can do a collab with them. We're just literally blowing their spot up.
You do.
All right, my bad.
The range.
Oh yes, the range.
You bring me to the range, and I'm just shooting guns. That's it. No work.
I really haven't ever seen you smile bigger than when we shot that automatic gun for the first time. You turned around and smiled like 5-year-old PJ on Christmas getting his first, like, I don't know.
I was. Trevor, how smiley was I when we were shooting the automatics?
You look like that cat from Alice in Wonderland.
The Cheshire Cat. Yeah, that's how I was. It was so fun, and like the MPX back to that gun. It's so easy to be good at it. It's just so easy. Like my groupings. Oh, I made him give me a stat. I wanted all the haters because I know that they're gonna keep, no matter what, they're gonna hate on my gun stuff. So he pulled my thing and he was like, wow. He was like, these groupings for anyone, let alone a first timer, are really good. And I was like, oh, Trevor, are we getting this on camera? And I was like, okay, let's say 100 people came in. I'm like, because I'm going to get ripped apart for this no matter what. I was like, what percentage of them do you think could do that, like, first try like I did? And he was like, it's hard to answer that question. He was like, but not many.
Nobody. None of them.
Now, that pistol, though, it is so hard to be accurate with that thing. It is so accurate. No, you're not. You're supposed to just mow people down. Yeah, that's what it's for. The way he described it makes perfect sense. So I was shooting like 10 yards away, and he's like, he was like, so first of all, I was like, I'm gonna take out Osama's head, right? And so I was going for headshots, and I wound up blasting the thing off. Like I blasted like the actual clip that holds it on off.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I was like, you know what, sir? Let's not do any more headshots. And I was like, we'll leave it on.
Go for the ankles.
He's like, you might want to edit that out. And I was like, we'll leave it on. People will get a kick out of it. I'll tell them I was trying to do that.
So what is that gun mostly used for?
So this is what it's used for. It's used most commonly by the Israeli military. And so the prime minister has personal guards, right, that walk with him everywhere he goes. And in Israel, it's very common for like moms that are like eating ice cream, like in an ice cream parlor, to have guns on them, because Palestinians will just come in and blow shit up all the time. So everyone is trained in safety. Don't quote me on this, but I'm 99.9% sure. All women have to do 2 years in the military. Men, it might even be more. We never looked that up. Men, it might be 3 or 4. But so every single girl, even Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, had to do 2 years in the military. That's the way of life for them there. So they all know how to operate a gun. So those handguns are concealed, and when Palestinian guy X runs over with a bomb,
they just bang.
They pull it out, and if there's 3 guys, 4 guys, 5 guys that are all presenting threats, they just spray them down dead.
Spray them down.
And that's how it has to be.
Break yourself.
Also known as praying and spraying.
Praying and spraying. Yep.
All right, on to the next one. It says, I've been watching you since you started the YouTube channel. Great mix of information and laughs. Why the Metamucil and L-carnitine tartrate during cardio, Kirk?
So I actually don't do the Metamucil during cardio. I do the Metamucil before bed. The L-carnitine tartrate I do before cardio because it enhances fat loss.
That sucks if he's been taking Metamucil right before cardio.
And he gets done and
just like slightly
like
confused about like something you said one time. He's like, I could have sworn he said takes the Metamucil right before he gets on the treadmill. And then he's like on the treadmill, he's like, why does he do this? I don't understand.
Read them the text I sent you about the Metamucil the other day.
Alright, so about the plane.
Right before that. Metamucil works well.
Yes, it does. I love Metamucil.
Everybody keeps telling me that I need to check out Metamucil, and I have not yet.
Even if you are a healthy pooper, a Metamucil poop is a different kind of poop.
He said, what about the oil change place? He said I'm at the oil change place, Metamucil kicking on the butthole like a SWAT raid. I'm about to Jason Statham myself home and drift into the bathroom. I said I'm dying. He said I'm on the throne now. The shit looks like World War III. And he just sent me a picture of a B-12 bomber.
If you drink Metamucil before you go to bed, you wake up in the morning and you just poop out everything that's inside your body.
Everything in your body.
Completely empty yourself.
All those little screws and things you ate when you were a child by accident.
There's like paint cans and stuff that come out.
Whoa,
like
entire paint cans?
Yeah.
That's probably a lot of bloating. that's a lot of bloating in there. Oh, man. All right, next one is from Chris. He says, hey, PJ, here's a few questions. Number one, why do you take the Ubiquinol? I take it currently and was wondering why you take it and what benefits you think it has. Let's just go ahead and answer that one before we get too deep.
Ubiquinol is outstanding for your heart. I'm going to give you a quick backstory that I may have told on the show before. I sat on a plane with a world-renowned open heart surgeon. And he was a very big advocate of Ubiquinol, and he told me a story, actually, of a lot of times when they have guys on the heart transplant list, they make sure that those guys are supplementing with high doses of Ubiquinol. He had one guy that was 31 years old, lived a very unhealthy life, abused himself with steroids, and was probably not going to make it. So they had him megadosing the Ubiquinol, 1,500 milligrams a day. And he said in 2 months, he was actually taken off the transplant list. And this is obviously highly, highly unlikely to happen to you, but actually didn't have to have the transplant surgery. It was like a medical anomaly. But because of that, they started researching Ubiquinol more and more and more, and more doctors are prescribing it to people for heart health.
Well, that sounds pretty awesome. Number two is for the Beat PJ contest. What Blackstone Labs supplements are you taking, and what super subs are you taking? How much of each, if you have time, and why? I watch your videos, and the non-BSL supplements you are taking with explanations are great. The only BSL I see you take is Trojan Horse currently. That is BSL. Go ahead and answer that one.
All right, so
what supplements are you taking?
I take a lot of supplements. I'm just going to run through my day and the time that I take everything. So in the morning, before I do my fasted cardio, I take L-carnitine tartrate, which we actually will have by Blackstone Labs pretty soon. I like the brand Now Nutrition. That's not the current one that I'm using. But I take 2 grams of L-carnitine tartrate before my cardio. That's like a staple no matter what. I also take, in the morning with my coffee, I take a Crit by GG Labs. It's a little bit of caffeine. It's a nootropic formula that I find makes me focus.
I gotta say that GG Labs Crit does taste amazing.
Yeah, it does. I take D3, 10,000 IUs. I take vitamin C, 4 grams a day. I take a B complex every morning. I take Liver Care by Himalaya. I take 2 caps in the morning, 2 caps at night. I take 200 milligrams of Ubiquinol in the morning and at night. I take Tudka, 300 milligrams twice a day. I take a product called VSL number 3. I take anywhere from 2 to 6 caps a day, depending on how I'm eating and how I'm digesting.
Shout out VSL number 3. We're still waiting on that sponsorship so we can get some free product.
Yep. Before I train, I take Hype. Lately, I've been only doing 1 scoop. I used to do 2 scoops, but I've been good on 1 lately. I do not take Dust. I do not take Dust Extreme. I can't handle all the stims. I took, for the first half of the Beat PJ, I took Recomp, and I would say, with the exception of Glycolog, that's probably the most profoundly impressive product that we've put out. In fact, Recomp is so good that instead of getting back on it now, I'm running Anavar instead. And when I'm done with the Anavar, I'm going to go back on Recomp so I don't have a drop-off. Because I feel to take the Recomp with Anavar would almost be like doubling the Anavar. I'm that impressed with Recomp. So I'd rather save Recomp when I'm back to just cruising on an HRT dose. I take glycolog with all of my carb meals. So the first half of the diet was a ketogenic diet, so there was no glycolog unless it was a cheat. But for the carb cycle, I used glycolog with all my carb meals. One thing that I've learned is I'm extremely sensitive to glycolog. So if I'm not having 50 grams of carbs, I only take 2 rather than 3. I've actually taken up to 6 glycolog when I've pigged out like a cheat meal. And you're just maximizing the glycogen load when you do that. I take growth before bed every night. I, for most of the Beat PJ, took orthobolic, and then I got lazy with that at the end, stupidly. I take gear support. I take 2 in the morning and 2 at night. I was, in the first half of the diet, taking Resurgence. I was just putting a scoop into my Pedialyte when I do my cardio. Let's see. I do not take Paraburn. I do not take Viper. I just, again, don't like all the stims. I take Trojan Horse twice a day. There even were times where I would take it 3 times a day. I'm a big advocate of Trojan Horse. Most stim-free fat burners don't do shit, and this one actually works awesome. And I stayed on Trojan Horse the entire time. I'm still on Trojan Horse. I use isolation 1 to 2 times a day. My last meal of the day is always a shake. I don't like to just eat a big-ass meal and go to bed. I prefer to have a shake. And that's when I do my Metamucil. I usually throw a scoop of Juiced Up in there as well. So I use a lot of the less sexy products. You know, I don't use Chosen One. I don't use Methaquad. I don't use Abnormal. I'm not using the strong fat burners. I'm not using the strong pre-workouts.
But you should go use Methaquad.
I do like Chosen One. I'm very like OCD with the way that I dosed my things. So when I knew that I was taking more, you know, I bumped up my testosterone for the last 4 weeks of the BPJ. So I wanted to make sure that I was monitoring everything perfectly. You know, I didn't get back into this so I could be like a juice head, which would be a waste anyway because I have too many injuries to be a good juice head at this point. But I will tell you, it's definitely a lot harder without all the juice, that's for sure. It's way harder the older you get doing it without the juice. So,
and being that the daily supplements question has definitely been asked a multitude of times, there's actually, I don't know, it looks like this question had come in not too many days ago, but we actually just did multiple videos on everything that he took leading up to the Beat PJ. That really, his daily, you know, supplements and things like that didn't change too much. You took pretty much the same things, because if you start taking things out that you do in your regular regimen towards the end, obviously you're not going to know what's going on. So if you watch those videos, a lot of that has his daily regimen in there if you wanted to get a little deeper into it.
I year round I'm going to be on testosterone, guys. Like I'm on HRT, HRT for life. Right now I'm also experimenting with these testosterone troches, sublingual troches that are very, very good. And you literally just put one under your tongue. It's 50 milligrams of oral testosterone. It kicks in almost immediately.
It's 50 milligrams of rage. Straight up rage. Number 3 is, it's a reverse question. What questions do you have for me or others about your show or videos, etc.? Not sure if you would like me to respond back for next week's show if you wanted answers. Keep it up. Much appreciated. Your supplements by far have been the best I've ever been on or tried. Really appreciate the product so far. Can't wait to try the others. Alex K has been very helpful. Do you have any questions for him?
Not at this time.
No?
Not at this time. I'm going to answer with a not at this time.
Maybe check back next week, Chris. We may have some questions for you.
Guys, why can't you ask me more? I know that you know that I'm good at this stuff, and so I'm happy to answer all the steroid questions every week. But why can't you ask me other questions? I want you to answer.
You're just a big juice monkey. That's
ask
all
me
you're
some
good
porn
for.
questions.
You're just good for juice.
It's so many juice questions every week. I think it's, you know what I think it's because is like, so even when I was in Colombia, this is a really, really funny one. So I'm in Colombia and it's me, Akeem, Eric Williams, Victor Martinez, and these guys are actively competing. So like everything they say is judged very hard. You know, they have to maintain a certain position on certain subjects, right? So Fabian is translating, and then there's another translator for Fabian. Because Fabian would speak to me on whatever the person said, and then I'd look at the other Spanish guy and be like, what is Fabian telling me? And that guy would translate to me, or Victor Martinez would translate to me. And so one of the questions was like a thorough juice question, right? But it was for the panel. It's not directed to me, it was for the panel.
So you just like...
So I'm sitting there, and they answer the question, and at the same time, Eric and Victor Martinez just went, PJ.
This one's for you, bud.
Yeah, they're like, you can handle the juice questions, bub.
All right, next one comes from Rob Price. He says, I finally hit a point in my fitness goals where I want mass gains, major bodybuilding. I started by purchasing Walmart brand supplements and slowly moved into more reputable brands. Now I'm looking to get into proper stacking and spending the necessary money for authentic quality. Do you have recommendations for pre-workout, post-workout, recovery, protein, thermogenics, collagen, peptides, etc.? Thank you, Rob.
Of course, I'm going to recommend Blackstone Labs products because they're the products that we take and that we stand by. So I personally have seen formulas that are very, very similar to mine. And if they are what they're listed on the label, how could I not say that they're good? I mean, I actually found a product that was a cardiac hobby of mine. It wasn't even a Redcon. And I was like, oh, this is a good pre-workout. It's almost the same as mine. You know, so there are other people that have figured out, because we don't do prop blends, you know, like what's
just called Fust instead of Dust. That's so weird.
It's called Fust BU. And you know, so we're not the only ones that have good products out there, but you don't know until you try. So I wouldn't tell somebody to go straight into Dust X. You know, a lot of people are like, damn, Dust X is too strong. But then the people that have wanted strong, that have been missing Dust Extreme, they love the Dust X. They're like, thank you for bringing this out. So you have to find that stuff out through trial and error. You know, kudos to you though for getting out of the Walmart section.
All right, next one comes from me. It says, I've made good progress since 2012 being over 330 pounds. I've gotten a lot more muscular and leaner for the beat PJ. My problem is then I get fat again up to 275-ish and I yo-yo. Then I hit the diet and gym hard again. I need to make this year the year of sub 10% body fat. What's the best way for me to continue to make progress, obviously besides my own self-control? Currently around 2,200 calories on keto diet with a refeed once a week. Still making progress, but I feel my calories are getting in the low range. I started at 3,000 calories. What's my next best step? Blasting as of right now, NPP test Winnie. Will be cruising starting next week and staying TRT a little bit to let my body rest. Here's some reference picks. First pick is 330 pounds.
Okay.
In 2012. Second, leaner in 2014. Oh, wow.
Huge difference. Humongous difference. Wow. I mean, looking at these pictures, I don't know what more you want from me. You're like a whole different person.
That is pretty impressive.
In the very beginning pictures, it said he weighed how much?
It says the first pick is 330 pounds in 2012. Second is leaner in 2014. Third, fourth, fifth, fat again at the start of Beat PJ. Last four picks are last week and this week.
Does he have his weight in the after picks? He's really lean.
All he says his first pick is 330 pounds, 212.
I mean,
2012.
It looks like he lost like 100 pounds.
That one is, well, the side by side is extremely impressive. Yeah, that's pretty phenomenal.
For the folks on YouTube, for the trolls on YouTube. Hi, troll.
They say Pixar, it didn't happen.
Picture it didn't happen.
Here's the picks, dog.
I mean, I think you're doing awesome, man. I think that you're overthinking it, and that your game plan is actually a solid one. And I'll tell you what I'm honestly really impressed with is that you don't really have loose skin, because
to have all that tightened up as well as it did is pretty impressive.
When you're up over 300 pounds like that, and you come and do a big weight loss, there's usually a good amount of loose skin.
You must have really good, nice, tight, elastic skin still, because most of those other people, it's like I have to have surgery.
Zach Burke. See, this is the stuff that I find to be super exciting. Is like there's a lot of people who have not showed me anything in BPJ. Like I got people like AA Braun, who has showed me his shit every day, and I'll tell you right now, I highly doubt that anybody is as lean as he is. He is absolutely peeled, contest peeled, but he was pretty good to start. So will he be a contender because of how insanely peeled he is? Yes, but like when I see stuff like this, what I'm looking at right now, like this is pretty crazy. Like this is a transformation. So I wonder how many people like this gentleman are hiding basically for the big finale, which is tomorrow, by the way.
Ooh, better get ready for your picks.
Get those picks in.
Those picks in, dog.
Somebody's gonna mess up the. They're gonna put them in like Saturday or something.
He says, "Thanks for all the help, PJ and BSL. You have been such a tremendous help and inspiration for me, especially the cardio Q&A and the podcast, as well as the Stellar products. I use a lot of them."
My advice to you is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't be fixing.
That is crazy. That side by side right there.
Oh, the next one was on the. He said, in my last email I sent, I wanted to add that I'm currently 245. And I want to remain anonymous. And it comes from me.
I didn't say his name, did I?
I don't know. It was at the very end of it. I
don't think that I did.
I don't know. I just said from me.
His name's Bert.
Sure. So 245 is
It's actually not
the way you were looking for.
That was the way I smoothed everything over.
And it looks like we actually.
And he was 330.
Yeah, 330 down to 245.
Wow, that is amazing. During the time of the BPJ, for all those people that didn't want any extra time, you might have just lost to this guy. I want to send my pictures in 2 weeks early because I started early.
You can.
Daddy, I want to go to the goose.
I think we made it through all those questions.
I was really stressed out going into this radio show because the stack is really, really big. Or was
we
really
did it
big.
in 45 minutes.
You know what? I think there was a lot of pictures.
Yeah, there was.
You guys can send me pictures. You can draw me stuff. You scared me though with all the pictures because the stack was really big when I looked at it.
We're like, goodness gracious.
Goodness gracious. Last night Last night we went to the Tilted Kill.
It was extremely tilted and extremely tilted.
For starters, I was like, hey, let's be cool and bring my cars over to the Tilted Kill. And the Ferrari, as of right now, the theory, do you even know about this, Trevor?
No.
You don't know. The Ferrari is ended up on a flatbed.
Did not.
And it looks as if the starter has gone. So no Ferrari now.
Starter's not doing its job. No Ferrari's not starting.
Yeah, so we
Come
have
off the bench.
We had an unstartable Ferrari. This drunk, trashy guy wanted to race me in his Mustang.
Oh my god!
And this is what he said. This is the kind of guy that I feel like he's the kind of guy that often gets punched in the face. So he was drunk.
His face looked like it had been punched.
Yeah, like he might have got punched already that night. And it's always Mustang people. And I'm sorry if I know I have Mustang driving fans, and I'm sorry for offending you the way I'm about to. But why are you guys such douchebags?
And stop crashing into crowds of people.
Why? It's right always there. The Mustang people. So this is what the guy said.
There.
He goes, "You want to race?" And I was like, "Not really."
You want to race my Mustang?
He goes, "You want to race my Mustang?" And I go, "You're gonna race me in my Ferrari?" Which happened to be on a fucking
flatbed around the corner, but you don't know that. I got a picture of it right now.
I got a picture of it driving fast.
Sick fucking video.
So no, I think he wanted to race the Z06, and I was like, "Nah, man, I'm cool with racing your Mustang." And he goes, "You don't want to race the Mustang, huh?
You're scared?"
He goes, "Just remember, there's always somebody faster than you."
Always.
And I patted him on the back and I go, "Yes, and my Ferrari is definitely faster than your car."
You're lucky I just cut my mullet yesterday. So you know it's a business up front, party in the back.
So then I walked away. And Chris is like a card junkie.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Boy, that guy was messing with you?" He's like, I'll do you want to race him? I was like, "No."
Do you want to race? Shut up, race him.
He's like, "We should race him right now." He's like, "You want to race bikes?" He's like, "I'll get on my whatever bike he has." I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Don't you just
hold on.
You just took that from 0 to 100. I'm gonna go inside."
My kid also has a sick go-kart in the garage. Your kid got a sick go-kart. My kid's Mustang go-kart, but your kid's Mustang go-kart.
That guy found a guy to race him though.
I got a ride-on lawnmower. Beat your ride-on lawnmower too. It's a Ford.
For pinks.
For pinks. For pinks. Yes. Racing for pinks down Airport Road.
I also have a Ford Model T.
Now, what was my favorite part of the night was when a young Jay Dalla came cruising through the parking lot, hand out the window, holding his steering wheel, just like
driving his car, no steering wheel out the window, driving it like this. It went by multiple times like that.
Multiple times.
Steering wheel out the window. And I asked, and I really don't know this. Maybe you know this. Is that something is that a modification kit that they pay money for, or do they break their car to do that?
No, it's a kit, so you can take your steering wheel off.
Okay.
It's anti-theft.
I'm thinking there's like some cars that they're like, "Yo, we noticed if we just take this pin out, we can take our whole steering wheel out and just turn it with this knob in here."
My friend that you met at the gun class, he had a cousin that had a removable steering wheel on like a Cutlass or something, and they still stole it with vice grips.
That makes
knocked
sense.
the little thing on because they knew and they planned. They drove it home with vice grips.
That's crazy.
Well,
so
if you ever see somebody driving around with no steering wheel using vice grips, you know what time it is. You know that was just a very complicated car theft.
Very. But they had it well thought out.
Well thought out.
They knew to have the vice grips there.
Yeah. It can't be easy to drive. Think about it. Steering wheels are wheels for a reason. If you just have two vice grips, that's going to be hard to drive that motherfucker home.
It's actually impressive.
And if you're sitting at the red light next to somebody and you look over and you see 2 sets of ice grips, just call your local police department. Because that's not normal.
Be a good Samaritan and call the damn police.
If you see suspicious activity.
The police were nice last night. The
police?
Yes. They felt bad for my car situation.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, "It's a nice car."
He still wanted to jack your car up on the police flatbed.
He
was like, I know it's a nice
Ferrari. Thank God Rob was there.
Ferrari.
Rob, my mechanic over at XL.
He's like, I know it's a nice Ferrari and you're already over to the side of the road where nobody's going to hit you, but I'm going to throw this thing on a police bed if you don't, and I'm going to rip your front bumper off. I'm going to make sure they do it. I'm going to make sure the front...
I so did not want them to do that. I was like, please, Rob, can you find him somebody that can come get this
He's like, look, I know we're standing here talking to nice guys. He's like, but I'm really trying to see this Ferrari get ripped up in a fucking police flatbed. So if you don't get one here in like 10 minutes, my boys are going to be here. We are going to laugh so
There's
hard.
a way. Thank God, again, I like, because we would not have known what to do. Rob opened up the trunk, and there's a manual thing that you can crank it into gear. It's literally like, looks like a fucking Allen wrench that goes inside this thing, and you can actually crank it into neutral and push the fucking car out of the way.
Don't tell anybody that. Now they're going to know they can just steal a Ferrari with an Allen wrench. It's bad enough we've got removable steering wheel.
I mean, all the Allen wrench does is put it in neutral. What, are they going to just push it out of your driveway?
I would push your Ferrari out of your driveway and steal it later. You're driving home one day, you see somebody pushing your Ferrari like 3 blocks down the road. You're like, wait a minute. You have an Allen wrench, don't you?
Just exercising.
Good stuff. Guys, Iso Cream is friggin' sweeping the nation.
Side note, if we didn't answer your question, we deemed it either spam or repetitive.
Yes, okay, so some of you are probably like, hey, you didn't answer my question. Here's the deal, guys. We're not going to just remove questions all the time. We're not. But if there is a day like today where there's a buttload of questions, and some of them, if it was something I've done one time, maybe 10 weeks ago, that's one thing. But some of them, we do get questions that one way or another we answer like almost every week. And I know we are getting new listeners. We're getting
the one about the daily supplements, like that one is, it's snuck in there somehow, and like it's cool to answer it. But like we have entire videos on that. Like we've definitely covered.
And maybe I'll even do another video. So there's a fresh one out there on my daily supplement.
We want to keep bringing the new, fresh content to y'all.
Yes, that's why I encourage you guys. I do know a little bit about a couple other things. It's your guess though to figure out what those things are. So just start asking questions.
Maybe we can start doing something that they suggest us to do something on the coming weekend, because we do this on Thursday, so maybe that'll be enough time that if we have nothing planned for Saturday or Sunday, we can go out and they're like, yo, have you ever been skydiving? No, we've never been skydiving. We're going to buy skydiving tickets this weekend and let you guys, we're going to review skydiving for you.
I want to start something a little more mild than skydiving.
Mild?
Yes.
I was thinking more extreme, but all right, if you want to go more mild.
Climbing.
Rock climbing?
Did you see what happened to that Von Munger guy's leg or whatever?
Callum?
Yeah.
What happened?
I'll show you.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, man, this guy.
Oh, did you hear about the friggin'...
He can't catch a break.
I'm surprised you didn't even tell us this. This is like Trevor information.
Oh, yeah, we were talking
about this last night, about the flight, was it Southwest or some shit?
Oh, the lady got sucked out the flight.
Yeah.
I mentioned it yesterday to Billy.
Okay. How does that even happen?
Yeah, that is so crazy.
The engine, the blade snapped, broke the window, and the pressure
broke the window.
Yeah, and the pressure
whoever told us made it sound like there was like a pinhole sized in this fucking airplane, and it sucked her through a pinhole.
It broke the whole window out?
It broke the window that you sit next to, and the pressure
sucked her out.
And people were holding onto her legs, trying to pull her back in. Apparently.
Oh my god!
But they couldn't, obviously.
And then she died that way, I believe.
I don't see how you could possibly live.
The pilot was used to fly fighter jets or something, and landed the plane, no problems or something.
Damn, that's so crazy.
So now they have to check all the engines on that plane for wear and stuff like that.
That's so scary.
Dude, could you imagine being the person next to the lady that just got sucked out and murdered in the airplane? No. Holy shit.
You'd be traumatized hard.
Not only traumatized, you would either be traumatized or you would live every day the rest of your life like, yo, I was one seat away from Final Destination. I made this shit. I'm going to go out and live.
Wasn't there a Final Destination where the person gets sucked out the plane?
I think the entire plane gets sucked out.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. I think the front half of the plane breaks off and they all go, whoa.
So I'll sit on the aisle from now on. No window seats anymore.
I always sit in the aisle.
Me too, but
sitting in the window.
I don't know, man. I don't know about this flying shit anymore. This shit's getting weird in 2018.
I fly like crazy. I'm always flying, and I still don't like flying.
All right, before we
never get used to it.
Maybe it's just me, but like I was actually gonna say this like a week or so ago. Remember how we saw that video of the ski lift that malfunctioned and went backwards and was throwing people off the ski lift?
That video was awesome.
Right.
People got mad at me for saying that it was awesome, but like, I don't think anybody got hurt bad.
No, there was.
And it was kind of, if you were there,
injuries.
you'd laugh.
There was no life-threatening injuries. I don't think if you were there, you'd laugh because you'd be like, holy shit, that could have been me. But I think it was kind of funny because there was no life-threatening injuries. People were getting thrown like rag dolls. It was kind of hilarious. So now, I did see a video like, again, a week ago of, so that one was in another country, which like here in America, a lot of the times when we see that kind of shit happen, we're like, oh, because maybe it didn't have American safety standards or something. We try to put that in our head and whatever. A couple weeks ago, I saw a video of like something like South Florida Fair style. People ask me all the time, oh, when you go to the fair, are you getting on the rides? I'm like, no. And they're like, why? I'm like, because one time I was a kid and I was in a seat that was way too wobbly that I felt like was going to get flown out of this shit. And no one wanted to believe me, nothing happened, and nobody ever said anything bad happened about that. But since that day, I've always kind of thought about it. Now, last week, I see something that like, I can't remember if it was in Alabama or some shit. It was like South Florida Fair style. This entire row of seats came off, smashed into the people on the other side, killed 2 people, and it was in America. It's like...
But it was made in Taiwan, that's the problem.
But all I'm saying is this shit happens more and more often, and now you mean to tell me people are getting sucked out of planes? I have this overwhelming sense of like, this shit was designed to be safe, but it is not safe. Even in planes.
It's designed to be safe to an extent.
Yeah, but even in planes, I'm sitting there like, this seat is not that hardcore.
What am I watching?
A car crashed into a house.
Okay.
Apparently, the cop went to inspect.
Oh my god!
It hit a gas line. Did you watch that video?
No.
You?
That is crazy. Obviously, the cop died.
I don't even know what. I have to go read.
I mean, he's taking it point blank.
God damn.
So he hit a gas line in the house?
The car, yeah. You see the guy on this, like on the phone.
I looks like he's all right.
Went to inspect the car, and obviously the truck hit a gas line and just.
Was there a person in the car still?
No, there was a guy. If you saw him,
he's standing in the background. No, I think everybody would be fine in that situation. The fireball definitely singed his eyebrows and shit, but
he's crazy.
I think he's alive. So I think on that note we'll end.
Maybe we could put the video into the.
Yeah, that would be good. On that note, maybe we'll end the podcast with a peace out, bye.
Peace out, bye.
Peace out, bye, y'all.